Well, welcome councillors and executive team to our Planning and Environment and Development Committee meeting for the month of May. I'll declare the meeting open at 4 o'clock. First item on the agenda is those present or apologies. We have one leave of absence request from Councillor MacArthur, and we have Councillor O'Keefe joining us online. So now, councillors, I'd like to call for elected member to move that be accepted. Councillor Moses has moved. Councillor Hook has seconded the motion. I'll put that motion. All in favour? Aye. Against? Declare that motion carried. Move straight on to declarations of interest, and I'll now call for any elected member or executive team member who may have a declaration of interest to register in relation to the two items on our planning committee meeting. Councillor Luke, do you have a declaration of interest you'd like to declare?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, because it was written up there in front of us, I didn't bother iterating it. Yes, I do. With item 1, I own an adjoining property to where the DA is submitted for, so I will be leaving the room, it being a pecuniary significant item.
Thank you, Councillor Luke. I'll now call for any further declarations of interest in relation to the two items. Third call. No further declarations. Thank you. We'll move straight into the reports, and I'll call on the Acting Director of Planning and Environmental Services, Mr. Hudson, to detail recommendations in relation to the first item. And I'll just let the record show that Councillor Luke has left the chambers, and that first item is in relation to development application number 2022/018, construction of an outbuilding. Thank you, Mr. Hudson.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. So this report relates to a development application seeking consent for the erection of a shed. The matter is being referred for your consideration as the development seeks a departure to Council's development standard regarding the maximum height of the structure to the eaves. I'll put this report to you and with recommendation and open to any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson. I'll now call for elected member who'd like to move that. Move the motion that it be accepted. Councillor Hook has moved the motion. Councillor Moses has seconded the motion. Councillor Hook, would you like to speak to the motion as the mover?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just a question to the officer. How much above the standard height is this building?
Thank you for the question, Councillor. I believe that the height for the shed is actually compliant, but it's actually the height to the eave line. So my recollection is it's 300 mil, but I will confirm that. Yeah, 300 mil. It is an exceedance.
Thank you for that.
I'll now call for elected member who'd like to speak against this motion or ask a further question. Councillor Moses, as the seconder to the motion, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, councillor, if there's no further questions and no debate, by show of hands, please, I'll put this motion. All in favour? I call that unanimously supported and therefore carried. Councillor Moses, can I ask that you please ask Councillor Luke to rejoin us in the chambers, please? Ms. Markey, if you could have the record show Councillor Luke has rejoined us in the chambers. Councillors, will now move on to our second item on the agenda, which is application to modify development consent number 234396.008. And I'll hand to Mr. Hudson to detail the recommendation before you.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. So this report seeks a modification to a development consent previously granted by Council to amend the subdivision layout and the staging obligations. The report is tabled to Council as the original development and the subsequent amendments to the development have been determined by Council itself. This report is put to you with the officer's recommendation, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson. I'll now call for elected member to move the recommendation. Thank you. Councillor Fuller has moved. Councillor Moses has seconded the motion. Councillor Fuller, as the mover of the motion, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think it's all explained.
I'll now call for elected member who'd like to speak against the motion or ask a question. Councillor Moses, as the second of the motion, do you wish to speak?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillors, if there's no debate, no conversation, I'll put the motion by show of hands. All in favour? And I'll call that unanimously carried. And therefore, councillors, being only 2 items on our agenda for the month of May, for the Planning and Development Committee meeting, I'd now like to call the meeting closed at 5 minutes past 4. Thank you for your attendance.